All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your moderator for the next session. My name is Florian Hetzel, and I work for Chevron Group as a consultant in several areas. In this webinar, deposits and loss limits, regulatory approaches, and technical solutions, we want to provide you with an overview of the current legal situation in various European jurisdictions, and then show you some interesting technical solutions. You may already heard of it, Slido. However, we may have some new attendees, therefore please note that, again, this webinar is also interactive. That's why we use Slido. So if you would like to participate in this or in another webinar in poll or submit a question to one of the speakers, you can do so through the Slido app. To use Slido, please scan the QR code you can see on the screen now, or visit slido.com, then enter the event code #LIC, that's the abbreviation for Leaders in Compliance. Finally, select the Q&A tab on the top of your screen. Questions will be addressed and possible was answered during the audience Q&A at the end of this webinar. All right, this is about the technical stuff. Now it's time to welcome the webinar's guests or speakers. First, we have Mr. Nikolas Lotz from Meremos German Technologies MGT, GmbH, a Chevron company. He's expert to KYC and payment solutions and also COO of Chevron Group. So welcome, Nikolas.
Welcome, Florian. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And Mr. Martijn the Boer, he's a co-founder of a Dutch company CDDN and expert to fields such as data, privacy, ID services, KYC and PEP checks, and further. Also, a warm welcome to you, Martijn.
Thank you very much for having me, Florian, and good day to all.
Yes, thanks. So then I would say let's get down to business. So here's the first question. What is the legal situation regarding deposit and loss limits in Germany, the Netherlands, and other European jurisdictions? Nikolas, as Chevron Group is based in Germany, maybe you would like to start with this jurisdiction.
Yeah, thank you. So at the moment, Germany has cross-operator deposit limits implemented. Since a couple of years now, there's a central limit database called LUGAS, where every operator needs to connect. And in general, there are two, let's say, increased levels possible for deposit limits. Stage one, or let's call it stage one, a monthly deposit limit up to 10,000 euro, and then stage two, a monthly deposit limit up to 30,000 euros. To make it a bit more complicated, there are additional requirements for stake and loss limit according to the chosen deposit limit of the player. On top, only 1% of the active player database of an operator can set a deposit limit above 10,000 euros. And there are increased monitoring requirements for players with an increased deposit limit. And there's a preset list of markers of harm which need to be monitored, and there needs to be a report to the authority if more than 3 of these markers of harm will be hit. That's it in a nutshell.
All right. Thank you. Sounds interesting. Martijn, how is it in the Netherlands?
Yes, well, I started writing down all the latest requirements and changes in regulation, and I had to stop at one page because we only have 20 minutes. But there's a lot going on. So in Germany, you like regulation, but here in the Netherlands, we like to top that off because there's so much about the maximum player limit. You have to respond within 1 hour when you see a certain, when you analyze the playing behavior of a player, and you see that it might be going to gambling addiction because he raises his limits, or he spends more time, or there's all kinds of signals that have to be monitored in real time. So that's a huge leap into regulation. And yes, top it off with a raise in tax with over 5% coming up in 2025. We have, of course, the October 1st affordability check, and that's why we are in this session, the main reason why we are in this session. So we will drill down to this later on. But yes, the affordability check, as of beginning of June, you already have to get in contact with the player once he raises his limits to a certain amount. And as of October 1st, when you go to 350 and 700 euros, you need to share your entire income / you need to give access to your bank. And then the operator needs to figure out what your net spendable income is, because there's a lot of discussion still regarding that, and there's still a lot to do and get clear. But yes, this affordability check, well, it's an opportunity, but we think it's a huge threat to legal gambling in the Netherlands.
All right. Thank you, Martijn, also for your informative remarks here about the Netherlands. Yeah, Nikolas, maybe you could choose another European jurisdiction you would like to inform us about the deposit limit requirements there.
Yeah, I think that there are a couple of countries which are at the moment looking into that. For example, Spain. In Spain at the moment, there are only concrete limit requirements per operator, not cross operator. So there are 600 euros per day, 1,500 per week, 3,000 per month. Increase is possible after a gambling questionnaire has been completed and the operator has detected no problematic or risky gambling behavior. There's no check of a income or credit rating required to increase the limit so far. There is a consultation at the moment between the Spanish Ministry of Consumer Affairs and the industry about cross-operator deposit limits, and we are waiting for the revised draft after the second consultation round at the moment. What we know is that the limits might remain the same, so 600 per day, 1,500 per week, but on a cross-operator basis. There are no technical requirements or no technical requirements have been published so far, but we see that this seems that a couple of countries or jurisdictions now looking into those limit or cross-operator limit requirements.
All right, thank you, Nikolas. As we've been now informed about the legal situation in several jurisdictions, which seems to be rather complex to me, at least in the markets we address now, let's have now a look into the technical solutions you or your companies can offer. Nikolas, maybe let's start again with Germany. So this question goes to you. What services and solutions form MTT's product portfolio that could support operators in implementing and establishing a smooth approach to managing the deposit limit restrictions, especially when also talking about the increased deposit limit?
Yeah. In general, in order to increase the limit, the deposit limit, which is in general 1,000 euro per month in Germany, you need to do a certain check. There are at the moment, let's say, 4 kind of checks possible. A credit check, a basic credit check, which can be done at the moment via Schufa. There are other solutions for those kind of credit check. We have our own solution, CRIF, and also Experian checks might be possible, but they need to be somehow accepted by the TGL and need to apply for this kind of limit increase process. The advantage of a credit check, of course, it's not invasive, so you can do it. The player will not recognize it, and then you can assign respective limit. But a credit check, as it says, does not provide any information about the available income. It just gives information about like maybe negative characteristics such as insolvency, and that invoices and loans have been paid on time. So they are possible at the moment to use in Germany, but only for limit increases up to 10,000 euros. Besides that, you can use, for example, an income verification via open banking. So you gather the data via the PSD2 interface from the bank account. Martijn will show us later how this will look like. And I mean, here, first of all, the client or the player needs to log in into his bank account. And the willingness is, we are not 100% sure, but we see that between, let's say, 50 and 70%, depending on the use case, are happy to use that. The numbers increased a lot in the last couple of months because also other industries are more and more using those checks. Also, it's possible to use them in the, let's say, onboarding process to verify the name, for example, of the player. So the players are used to it, and I think that this will become a more and more important solution, and you should, as an operator, have at least one open banking solution integrated. Of course, it's still be possible to do manual document requests. So request a bank statement, a payslip from the player directly. The risks, I mean, can be easily manipulated. We all know how easy it is at these times to change numbers or PDFs or whatever. It's a manual process, so the operator needs to decide to increase the limit and to which extent. And of course, there's still the need to see if the players are happy to provide such documents. Last option is an EDD report. There are also several providers on the market, like GeoPT is also providing called Fastland report such kind of services. What is it? You more or less get a report where data from public and not public sources are merged. There will be credit scorings, but also further information be included. They will check, I don't know, profiles in social media and so on, and gather information about the source of wealth in regards to that. The problem here is that not everyone has a public profile, has much information publicly available, and these reports are quite expensive, but they can help and maybe help as a non-invasive solution because there's no customer contact necessary.
Mm-hmm. All right, Nikolas, thank you. It looks like quite promising. Martijn, I think you at CDN, you could offer something similar and also an interesting solution for the Dutch market. May you provide us with a brief insight here, please?
Yeah, we have been studying it thoroughly, of course. There's still some questions, but we still believe that 30% of net spendable income is the right way to go, except for the fact that if you only give the player back a net spendable monthly amount, then it might be you get a lot of questions. So we are a close user group doing this affordability check with us already. And we came up with some sort of hybrid solution. So in the end, you see our onboarding flow here. So this is the total KYC solution. 70% of the Dutch licensed operators are using this flow, from smaller to the bigger ones, but also newcomers coming to the market soon. They all use this one, but if you get to the filling in of the playing limit and you exceed a certain amount, then the trigger of the affordability check will be shown as an option to the player. Yes, it's an open banking solution, and we feel that there's no other way of checking a net spendable income without gaining access to one's bank account. More and more casino operators agree with us on this, so we are in the process of piloting with 3 operators currently, and many more are discussing and debating internally what to do next. What we provide, in this case, you see the affordability check steps. We give the player a certain freedom in getting his net spendable income together. Might be he has some savings, might be he has some other bank accounts that are not connected, and we provide in this solution the means. You see that in the overview. We provide the means to add income and thus play with your net spendable income. Of course, all responsible, that is being monitored in the background, but it saves a lot of manual labor for the operator if you work together in the onboarding, instead of just saying, hey, you can only spend 600 euros, and yes, then you need a 50% increase in employee file in order to answer all these questions. And we believe that if you automate this highly and also give the player some freedom to get to his net spendable income, you get the affordability check as we see it. And for us, it's merely an integration in our KYC portal, so no integration needs to be done. We can set this up in a couple of weeks, and therefore we are more than ready before October 1st. But it's an open banking solution we provide. Yes.
All right, thank you, Martijn, for this also detailed overview for the Dutch market. I think we've learned so far that, especially in the markets we discussed today, that operators are exposed to comprehensive legal requirements when regarding these different types of limits, mainly the deposit limits, and further that the requirements are adapted from time to time. Martijn, you mentioned the Netherlands, so on October 1st, we have the next deadline, so to say, but that you can offer both quite promising technical solutions, and then you can support the operators with your solutions. But let's take a look ahead now. So what do you expect for the future, and what opportunities do you see? Maybe Nikolas, would you like to start?
Yeah. Nikolas or me? Sorry.
Yeah, it seems that more and more countries will follow. Let's say the German regulation. We need to. I think that on the one hand, it needs to be ensured that there's enough enforcement against the legal market, because as long as players can choose for operators with less compliance requirements, there will be a negative effect on the channelization. For the operators, it's important to have a bunch of different solutions integrated, that they have a high conversion rate and can always offer the option which is available on the market and which players are happy to use.
How do you see it for the Dutch market, Martijn?
What we always advise is automate as much as you can and make sure you have a flexible partner, a flexible platform, because what we see quite often is a lot of casino operators are getting stuck, going into a lot of integration costs, implementation costs, changing costs, whatever. So I think the most important thing for the future and to weapon yourself for this is to have a flexible solution / partner that is able to provide you the right solution within the given time that you need to implement this new mandatory regulation. I think that's pinnacle in this, just to stay ahead. Yeah.
All right. Yes, I heard that we already have a small delay. A small delay at Deutsche Bahn would be a successful day, but for the webinar, it's not that good. So unfortunately, we can't show any Slido questions. Because as I said, we still have a delay. So I think we have now reached the end of this webinar, this session. That's why I would like to thank my two guests, Nikolas and Martijn, for the participation. And also my personal view is it very interesting presentations and these state-of-the-art technical solutions you presented to the audience.